FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz. It's June 27th, 2017. Has the worm turned? Has Trump turned the table on his opponents, his numerous opponents, everywhere you look? A good question. Could be a turning point in Trump's administration. Well, let's talk to Bill Tatro of BillTatro.com, and longtime radio guy and author and philosopher and economist. Bill, welcome back to the show.
Well, Kerry, it's always a pleasure. You interjected one word there that I haven't heard in a long time, but it's usually after a couple of martinis. That's philosopher. I like that though. That was good. As an old guy who's been around for a long time and seen it all, it's periodically you can do some philosophizing. But the way you introduced it, to me, it wasn't so much as the emergence of Donald Trump over the last few months as it's been the Harry Carey that's being committed by the Democratic Party, the liberals. I mean, it's just the average person out there looks and says, enough is enough.
Hey.
I mean, from the fake news of CNN to, college professors talking about and basically going back to the throwback days of racism and Jim Crow and this type of thing, of the kind of discussion. But the average person, the Nixon silent majority out there has finally said enough is enough.
Exactly. Hey, and by the way, if you want to send emails, got a question, comment for Bill or myself or anyone else you've ever heard on here, just email me at kl@kerrylutz.com. Again, we're talking with Bill Tatro. You find him at billtatro.com. And Bill, look, when your most prominent, accomplished proponent of your position is Mad Maxine Dirty Waters. I mean, she's the one who's leading the charge to impeach Trump. When she is your fearful leader, you got problems, don't you?
Well, you have real problems, but I love history, and I go back into time, and the two big leaders out there between my former senator, because I say former because I don't live in the state anymore, Chuck Schumer, and on the right coast, and Maxine Waters on the left coast. I can remember several years ago, and I'll take in the first order of Chuck Schumer. Remember when the senators were going to listen to the testimony for the impeachment of Bill Clinton, and all 100 senators had to raise their hand and say that, swearing on the Bible, in essence, that they would go into this whole thing with an open mind, that they would listen to all the testimony, and that was supposed to give a fair hearing to the president. Okay. Well, you had opening statements, an opening statement by what's called the prosecution, and an opening statement by the defense, and then they took an adjournment. And immediately when they adjourned, they came out, and Chuck Schumer with Robert Torricelli, who's long gone from the state of New Jersey, the torch they called him, they both got in front of the cameras, and Schumer immediately said, and there was no testimony presented or no witnesses or no facts or anything. It was just an opening statement. He goes, I haven't heard anything that's going to change my mind about the innocence of Bill Clinton. Okay, which meant that he just rejected his swearing his oath to have an open mind on the Bible. All right. You then go a little bit later. Maxine Waters is in a meeting with a general who was supposed to be in charge of, I think it was like $2 billion that was delivered to Iraq and put on a C-40 with small $100 wrapped bills. And once it landed in Iraq, it disappeared. And Maxine Waters, in looking to give you an idea what her feeling as far as taxpayer money, she is querying the general. And then she says to the general, well, you lost it. And he goes, apparently. She goes, well, I guess we better do a better job next time. That was her whole upsetness, her whole anger with the fact that $2 billion of taxpayer money just went to somebody's pocket. And so that was, and yet, Terry, they're still in office, aren't they? They're still in office.
Well, my favorite Maxine Waters story was when she was bemoaning the financial sector, and she was complaining about a company called Solomon Smith Barney Frank. And, like, she doesn't know anything. She is an ignoramus of the first degree.
Can we make this stuff up? You can't make this stuff up.
No, just Google Solomon Smith Barney Frank, and you get it. And she's like such a dolt. And she's voted fourth most corrupt member of Congress, and that's saying something. That's in a sea of corruption. That's like saying you are the worst smelling whatever in the cesspit, I mean, how do you judge at that point? I mean, it's really shades of degree, but somehow she comes out on top. So this is the person who's leading the clarion call to impeach Trump. And, look, I always thought the Republicans were the party of stupid, and nothing has happened to make me change my mind on that. But, I think that the Democrats are the party of lobotomization, self-lobotomization with a big ballpoint pen.
Well, I think you're seeing, Kerry, you're also seeing some of with this latest election in Georgia, the amount of money that was spent down there, and once again coming up in defeat, the losses that in the state legislatures and the gubernatorial chairs that the Democrats have suffered over the last several years. It's like the height of insanity, like Albert Einstein said, when you continue to do the same thing and expect a different result. I think they're starting to see there's some Democrats out there, though, with potentially, putting pressure on Nancy Pelosi, maybe to leave the chair of leading the Democrats. You cannot continue to do the same thing over and over again and lose, because no matter how you want to frame it, and you can say, well, we did well and we exceeded our expectation. In politics, you either win or you lose. There's no in-between ground. You either win or you lose. And the Democrats have been doing a lot of losing the last couple of years.
Hey, almost doesn't count except in horseshoes and hand grenades, right? But but when it comes to Democratic elections, too, if you listen to them, I mean, when was the last time a congressman went to Congress on a moral victory? It doesn't work that way. If you don't win at the ballot box, you're finished.
The sad thing about it is that, and this is, I look and I have conversations with senators and congressmen through the years, being in radio and TV and a writer and writing for Town Hall and all the things I've done. And you get to the point where you say to them, look, argue the facts, get into the discussions with the facts. God knows that Donald Trump can give you and the administration, there's a lot of things I can debate with the administration right now. I voted for Donald Trump. He's my president. I wanted to succeed. But there's a lot of things that I can argue with on the facts. But, once again, the American public, I think, is getting so tired of the Russiagate and all the rest of this stuff. To me, one of the smartest politicians in the world is Vladimir Putin. Yeah. I mean, it just seems like when we should be moving to the right, and we move left, he's already moved to the right. And I said a long time ago, well, especially with Barack Obama, Barack was playing checkers when Putin was playing chess. Somebody sent back to me an email, said, no, Bill, you're wrong. He wasn't playing checkers. He was playing bingo.
Yeah, I think he was playing jacks. I think jacks is more his speed, honestly. But then, so let's look at the Trump agenda. So I've told you before in the past, I believe that I did work for Trump in my former life as an attorney and my past life. And one thing I know about Trump, both having worked with him, for him, minor matter. It's not like I was anything important in his empire by any stretch. But the guy is a connoisseur of legal talent. And if he picked Jeff Sessions, it wasn't just a political payoff. It's because he saw something there, because let's face it, he's the administration's lawyer. And when he went to bat on the travel ban, he knew he was going to win. He had a very good idea he was going to win. And the decision from the Supreme Court, which doesn't get talked about in the media, it was a per curiam decision. That's Latin, means by the court. All right. There was no vote on it, 5-4, 7-2, whatever. It was the entire court, and they don't bother, showing votes. It means it was unanimous. The court all agreed. So he knew he was going to win it. And when I go and I look at what's happening with the so-called healthcare Obama repeal, I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty of it because as a libertarian, I believe the government should get the hell out of it. And we'll go back to the way it was when you and I were growing up, when a house call from a doctor was $10, came to your house. Right. But that's not going to happen. Let's forget that. But what I will tell you is Trump is going to win on that. It will be passed. I don't know how. Probably there'll be another feint at failure in the Senate. And then when they realize how bad they're going to look, they'll come to their senses, just like they did in the House. But he's going to get that passed. He's going to get his tax reform plan passed. I mean, there's no question in my mind about it. It's going to happen.
I think he's going to have some real difficulties. Do I think that he'll ultimately get stuff passed? I do. Now, as we have seen today, the IMF, which is an organization that I don't have the greatest regard for, but from an economic standpoint, a lot is hanging on the fact that he gets this passed. I'm not going to debate with you whether he'll get it done, won't get it done. I don't know what's going to happen in those halls of Congress. I do know that if nothing does happen, the 2018 congressional election, and even those from senators, could be a very interesting election. There has to be something accomplished. That was what the mandate of the American public gave Donald Trump. Get this stuff done. Now, the whole thing, however, is that everything is priced in from the market standpoint, and the stock market and many of the markets out there are priced in for all this stuff to be accomplished, that he'll get an infrastructure bill, that he'll get the tax cuts, all of this stuff. And when you price in perfection, you run a danger of it not coming to fruition. IMF today said they have kind of reversed their position and think that these things will not get done. And again, I'm not going to debate either one of you guys, the IMF or you, on that particular issue. But the fact is that if it does not get done, they projected a growth through 2000 and the next 4 years, actually the next 5 years, kind of receding back into the mid ones, 1.5, 1.6, 1.7. That's not a good recipe for a healthy stock market, a healthy economy, or whatever. So from the politician standpoint, they better get it done, because I think we're on the precipice like we were in 2008, like we were in 1999 and 2000. And when you price perfection into a market and you don't achieve it, you can have some very, very bad things happen, as we've seen some flash crashes, everybody heading for the door. And that's the difficulty right now. That's the problem as I see it, Kerry.
Agreed. I know what you're saying is true. I'm not so much worried for the markets. What I'm looking at is, hey, by all rights, he's not supposed to be in the White House, Bill. And then, he gets elected. Then they were going to flip electors to stop him from ascending to the presidency. And then he was going to be impeached. And now the Democrats are scurrying for cover because all that Russiagate stuff is coming right back at them. And as all of this is taking place, what is Trump doing? He's not just sitting there. The guy only gets 5 hours of sleep a night. I think he's been doing stuff here, under the radar screen, cutting regulations, regulatory freezes, you name it. I mean, he's been disassembling, pulling out of the Paris Accords. All of these things have been taking place, and more that we don't even know about. So to think that he's not going to get it through, certainly it's possible. I mean, the Capitol, Congress has been likened to a big sausage factory, but trust me, the sausage is going to get made, the sausage is going to get packaged, and it's going to get distributed, because that's the way that town works. And without it, they're in jeopardy. They're in peril, and they know. Well, the beauty
of the whole thing is we know whether it is or not. This is not like a horse race and betting on which one's going to come in first. This is either it gets done or it doesn't get done. And one of the things is, with the very few people who are in the market, the average citizen in the market, the problem is that many people are in the market indirectly because they get pensions.
Yes.
And many of the pensions, that's another topic for another day. But as we see with the state of Illinois and many of the pensions around the country, who are so woefully underfunded, and now are starting to look to cut back. And he's got to get this stuff done, and I'm rooting for him. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not, but as an economist, I'm looking at this thing and I say, again, these markets which hang on and affect many people out there, sometimes some directly, but most indirectly. It's got to get done, and this infrastructure. Just drive down to the roads. You'll see what that needs to be done there. The health care, we know that needs to be done there. And from a job standpoint, real jobs, creating real jobs. I'm not just talking about bartenders. I'm talking about real jobs. I'm rooting for the guy. If somebody said, if you could have one wish, what would you do? And I said, I'd like to be able to get back in a time machine and go back about 3 years ago and put a $1,000 bet on Donald Trump becoming president in the United States in 2016 and in 2017, actually. Boy, would I have gotten odds on that. But guess what? Here we are. And he has a propensity of getting things done. He always has, and I'm kind of rooting that he always will.
Yeah, agreed. Hey, so... Yeah, in my mind, I always knew he was going to win, I got to tell you. The only misgivings I had was whether it would be rigged against him, and we know the answer to that now, right? So, I mean, he kicked their asses, and they still don't know what happened, right? They still are clueless. They have no idea what he did to them, how he did it. Well, they don't get it.
Here's the thing. This is the thing, and I kind of sum up now and let you go, as they say, or let me go. The fact is that the liberals and the Democrats remind me of Keynesians out there, because Keynesians always, they'll go, oh, wait a minute, it's not working today. Okay, well, are you going to change your mode? You're going to change your strategy? No, let's just do more of it. Yeah. And it didn't work in 20 years ago. It's not working today. Well, then we'll just do more. Democrats go, well, the Russian thing's not working. Well, let's just do more of it, right? Let's just do more of it. And once again, in conclusion, I would just say, it's like, the height of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
Hey, it just reminds me of one of my favorite quotes by one of my favorite social commentators and comedians talking about Will Rogers. The Democrats' attitude is, ignorance got us into this mess and ignorance will get us out. But it ain't working out too good for them, is it?
Hey, we should take this show on the road, Yeah, well, tell the people we'll be at the Holiday Inn every Thursday night. Don't forget to tip the waitresses and try the veal.
Yeah, how stupid can they be here, Bill? I mean, look, when things don't work in my life, when my show goes a little flat, which, believe it or not, it actually does from time to time, I go back, I have my radio coach listen to a couple shows, and then, you know what? I kind of come up with new concepts, new ideas, and I start over. And with the Democrats,
wait a minute. That's the moment. That's when my phone rings and you bring me on your show. I got it.
Oops,
okay.
I gave it away. Sorry. I gave it away. I didn't mean to. But you know what I'm saying, right? I mean, this is just the supreme act of stupidity to not to be that dense that you can't figure out why you're failing. What is wrong with them here? Right?
Trump said something very, very brilliant when he said, I hope you don't get rid of Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah,
of course
I saw that.
Why? I mean, it's like playing against the other team.
Yeah, you got to love it.
Unbelievable. Believe it or not, I have to run. I got to do another show.
Hey, so do I. So any questions, comments, email us, kl@kerrylutz.com. Bill, best place to find you is billtatro.com.
That's it. Thanks, buddy.
All right. And Twitter feeds @KerryLutz. Facebook page is Financial Survival Network. Bill, we'll talk to you again real soon, my friend. Be well.
Take care, Kerry. Bye-bye.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.